You were never meant to hear this. What I'm about to share was not written for public eyes, not for historians, not for classrooms. It was locked away, buried in a file cabinet stamped with words that carried weight even among soldiers. Top secret, eyes only. The year was the late Cold War, a time when every border seemed alive with paranoia, when whispers of the enemy mattered as much as bullets. The forests in this story never had a name on any official map. They were marked only with coordinates, a grid reference where men went in and didn't come back out. The file I found called it Operation Black Timber. On paper, the mission was simple, a reconnaissance patrol. 8 men sent into a woodland sector believed to conceal enemy supply routes. 48 hours in, mark positions, confirm caches, and return. Clean, uncomplicated. But the patrol never returned. What came back instead were fragments. A journal, ripped and rain-soaked. A broken radio, still crackling faintly with static. And one final transmission cut off mid-breath. A man's voice choking on fear. Before the signal collapsed into silence. That was all. The higher-ups sealed the incident away. Officially, it was recorded as unit lost due to hostile engagement. But there were no shell casings, no blood trails, no enemy. Just emptiness. And if you read between the blacked out lines of the file, if you listen to the whispers among veterans who knew better, you begin to understand. This wasn't war. This was something else. They called the place the lungs of death. It was a forest older than memory. A wall of timber so thick that daylight barely survived past the first line of trees. Soldiers said once you entered, you felt the air shift, as if the trees themselves were inhaling, pressing down on your chest, making every breath heavy. Locals told their own stories. They warned of lights that moved against the wind, voices that called from the darkness, and men who followed those voices, never to return. Some claimed the woods were cursed from long before modern armies, a burial ground where something older, something inhuman still lingered. Of course, the army didn't care about superstition. Orders were orders. Patrols were sent. And one in particular, Vanish. Imagine for a moment being one of those men. 8 soldiers, rifles slung, boots wet with morning dew, stepping into a silence so thick it smothers even your thoughts. No birds, no insects. Just the crunch of gravel underfoot, swallowed quickly by the canopy. At first, everything looks normal. Just another tree line. But after 20 meters in, you can't see the world outside anymore. The forest has eaten the horizon. The sky vanishes. Radios hiss with static. It feels like stepping into another country, or another world. The patrol leader, a veteran sergeant, radios back a quick update. Voice calm, professional. Then, a pause. A hesitation caught on the recording. His voice drops, softer. God, it's right between the trees. And then, nothing. Static. That single quotes as the last official record of the patrol. The file ends there. But the whispers never stopped. Old soldiers mutter about it in barracks, over drinks, when they think no one's listening. They say the forest itself is alive, that the men weren't ambushed. They were taken. That something waits between those trees, patient, ancient, and hungry. And that every attempt to send men back inside ended the same way. Silence, broken radios, vanishing footprints. One officer who reviewed the file scrawled a single note in the margin before the page was redacted. This was not the enemy. This was the timber itself. So what happened to the 8 men of Operation Black Timber? What force could erase an entire patrol without a shot fired, without a body left behind? Tonight, I'm going to take you step by step into their mission. From the briefing, to the march into the forest, to the moments when reality itself began to unravel. You'll hear their voices, their fears, their final words. Not every question will be answered. Not every mystery will be solved. But by the end, you'll understand why these files were locked away, Why the brass refused to speak, and why to this day, the black timber remains untouched. Because when men vanish into silence, when their last screams dissolve into radio static, it's not just war. It's something older. Something waiting. The file lists them only as numbers. 8 men. Rank, serial unit. Clinical details typed in black ink. But those who knew them remembered more. They were not just statistics. They were soldiers, breathing, laughing, bleeding men. And one by one, the black timber would erase them. The patrol leader was Staff Sergeant David Keller, a man who had survived firefights no recruit could imagine. Scar on his jaw from shrapnel. Hands steady, even when the world burned. He wasn't afraid of bullets. But the woods. He hated the woods. He once told a private that trees made him feel boxed in, like the air was watching. Beside him was Corporal Mason, the radio operator. Joked too much. Always had a grin, even when he didn't mean it. Men said it was his way of covering nerves. His voice would later echo in static, carrying words no one should have heard. Specialist Ruiz, the medic, believer in signs and omens, wore a cross around his neck, kissed it before every patrol. Some said he saw death before it happened, a gift or a curse. Then there were the rookies, Private Ellis and Private Burke, young, wide-eyed, fresh from training. They had fire in them, the kind that hadn't yet been smothered by war's weight. Eager to prove themselves. Too eager. The others, seasoned but weary, filled out the 8-man squad. Brothers bound by routine, check gear, clean rifle, joke about home. But as the mission approached, something in their rhythm faltered. The briefing was short. A map pinned to a wall. A red circle drawn deep in the forest grid. Orders spoken in clipped sentences. Move in. Confirm enemy cache sites. 48 hours. Report back. Nothing unusual. No warning. No talk of myths or curses. Just another patrol in a war that had swallowed too many men already. But outside the tent, whispers bled through the ranks. Locals had been heard muttering. Villagers who refused to enter those woods even in daylight. They called it the timber where the earth eats men. The phrase spread like a shadow among the unit. Some laughed it off. Others fell silent. Sergeant Keller dismissed it outright. "We're not here for ghost stories," he snapped. "We're here for the job." And yet, even he checked his rifle twice that night, as if steel and lead could guard against something nameless. At dawn, the squad shouldered packs and stepped into the cold air. Dew clung to boots. Breath clouded in the morning chill. Mason cracked a joke, trying to lighten the silence. "If the trees eat us, at least they'll choke on me first." A few chuckled. No one really laughed. Ruiz muttered a prayer under his breath. Brooke adjusted his helmet again and again, like a nervous tick. Ellis tried to hide the tremor in his hands. Orders were repeated. Radios checked. Compasses aligned. And then, they faced the tree line. The forest rose like a wall. Thick trunks pressed shoulder to shoulder. The canopy so dense it looked solid. A barrier of branches blotting out the morning light. Even before crossing, they felt it. A pressure in the air, heavy and still. No birds called. No wind shifted the leaves. It was as though the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting. Sergeant Keller gave the nod. 8 men stepped forward. The moment they crossed, the world behind them faded. Sunlight bled into nothing. The canopy devoured the sky. Shadows wrapped around their boots, swallowing each step. Radios crackled with sudden interference. Mason frowned, tapping the side of his headset. "Already?" he muttered. The static rose, sharp and unnatural, before dying back into silence. The squad adjusted, falling into formation. Weapons ready, eyes sharp. But every sound seemed too loud. Every breath echoed. It wasn't enemy territory anymore. It was something worse. Keller recorded the first update for command. Calm, measured, just coordinates and time. Then, a pause. His words caught on tape, a hesitation that wasn't like him. "Feels different in here," he murmured, almost to himself. The tape clicked. The sound of boots faded, and the 8 men pressed deeper. The first hours inside the forest felt wrong. Not dangerous in the way soldiers understood. No mines, no gunfire, no signs of enemy movement. Wrong in a different way. Boots struck soil that swallowed sound. Leaves crushed underfoot, but the noise was muffled, as if the earth itself refused to echo. The trees pressed so tightly together that they seemed to lean inward, bending toward the squad. Private Ellis whispered what the others were already thinking. "Feels like the forest is watching us." No one replied. By midday, something became clear. Every movement felt too loud. When Keller raised his fist for a halt, even the smallest creak of leather straps, the click of a rifle sling, echoed back in waves. And yet, the forest itself gave nothing. No insects, no birds. Just the steady pulse of 8 men moving through a place that didn't want them there. Branches creaked high above, but there was no wind. Burke swore under his breath. Trees don't move like that without wind. Ruiz tightened his grip on his pack. "Don't say it out loud. Don't give it shape." The others exchanged glances. In the silence, even their thoughts felt exposed. The first real sign came near a ridge. Ellis, at the rear, froze mid-step. "Movement," he hissed. Left side, 50 meters. The squad fanned out, rifles raised. Scope scanned shadows between trunks. Nothing. But Keller noticed Ellis's face, pale, eyes wide, lips trembling. "What did you see?" Keller demanded. Ellis swallowed. "Figure, just a shape. It moved behind the trees." "Enemy?" Ellis shook his head. "Too fast, too." "Wrong." Minutes later, Ruiz found the second sign. Animal carcasses, a fox, a hare, something larger, maybe a deer, but none torn by teeth or bullets. No gore, no scavenging. The bodies were drained. Flesh intact, but bloodless. Skin pale, stretched thin. Arranged in patterns, spirals, lines, almost symbols, as though placed deliberately. Ruiz knelt beside them, face tight. He traced a shape in the soil. "These aren't random," he muttered. "It's a message," Keller snapped. "Enough. Animals die. Move out." But even he avoided looking too closely. The deeper they pushed, the worse it became. Mason fought with the radio, smacking the side of his headset. Static swelled, sharp, but beneath it, there were voices. Not garbled comes. Not the enemy. Clear, whispering, layered. Dozens of them. He tore the headset off, pale and sweating. "Someone said my name." Keller's eyes hardened. "Enemy psyops." "Ignore it." But Mason's hands shook. He muttered, "That wasn't human." By nightfall, morale cracked. The squad pitched camp in a clearing, rifles close. A small fire fought the dark, but the flames burned weak, as though the air itself smothered light. They ate in silence. Every crack of the fire sounded wrong. Every shadow stretched too far. Ellis finally muttered, "This place. It breathes." The others fell silent, because they all felt it too. The subtle pressure in their lungs, the weight in the air, the forest inhaling and exhaling around them. That night, footsteps circled the perimeter, slow, careful. The men froze, rifles ready. Night vision goggles flicked on. Green wash lit the clearing. But nothing moved. Nothing appeared. Just trees. Endless trees. The footsteps continued. Always circling. Never closing. Burke whispered, "They're right there. They're watching." No one corrected him. Hours dragged. No attack came. Only the circling. Only the forest breathing. Near dawn, they found something worse. Another campsite. Old. Decades abandoned. Rotten canvas sagged from broken poles. Rusted tins lay scattered. A rifle corroded with time leaned against a tree, and a journal, soaked, fragile. Pages eaten by mold. Ruiz turned the brittle paper carefully. Handwriting faint but legible. Notes about the forest. Patrol routes. Complaints about the silence. Then darker entries. We are not alone. They move between the trunks. Voices call at night. Not ours, not theirs. Something older. They want us to follow. The last page shook Ruiz's hands. The words broke off mid-sentence. They're right outside them. The rest was blank. Ink smeared by water. The men stared at one another. No one spoke. The second night inside the black timber was when the patrol began to unravel. And it started with one man simply gone. The squad had set their perimeter tight, tighter than doctrine allowed. Claymores rigged, tripwires strung low, fields of fire overlapping. Sergeant Keller wasn't taking chances. He rotated watch every 2 hours. At 030. Oh, it was Private Burke's shift. He sat at the edge of camp, rifle across his knees, eyes locked on the tree line. The forest was a wall of black. At 0330, Keller checked him. Burke was there, alert, nodded, whispered, "All clear, Sarge." At 0400, when the next man came to relieve him, Burke was gone. His rifle remained propped neatly against a tree. His pack sat unopened. Tracks showed he hadn't run or fought. He had walked. Calm, straight, deeper into the forest. No alarms tripped. No sounds of struggle, just absence. Mason cursed under his breath. That's impossible. He wouldn't just walk off. Ellis whispered. Maybe he heard something. Ruiz shook his head. No, something took him. At dawn, Keller called a halt. He examined the tracks again. Perfect line, boots pressing clean into the soil. Each step measured, deliberate. That's not a man wandering, Keller muttered. That's a man following orders. Whose orders? Mason asked. Silence. By midday, the radio picked up something new. Not static. Not interference. Cries. A child at first. Faint, weeping, then clearer. Burke's voice. Help me, over here. The squad froze. Mason ripped off his headset, eyes wide. That's him. That's Burke. He's alive. But when they pushed toward the sound, rifles raised, they found nothing. Just trees. Always trees. The cries shifted. One moment distant, the next right behind them. Then gone, Ruiz hissed. It's not him. It's something using his voice, Keller barked. Shut it. Eyes open. But his jaw was clenched tight. That night, the campfire burned weak again. The men huddled close, rifles across laps. Then, a laugh. Burke's laugh. It echoed just beyond the circle of firelight. A chuckle first. Then louder, mocking. The men froze. Burke? Ellis whispered. No answer, except the laugh again, closer this time. Then the voice. You remember, Mason, that joke you told? About the lieutenant's daughter? Mason's face went pale. Only Burke would know that. The laugh spread around the camp, circling them like the footsteps had. Ruiz whispered, It knows things. Private things. Ellis trembled. Then it really is him. No, Ruiz said, eyes wide. It's not him anymore. Keller nearly ordered suppressive fire into the tree line. But he stopped himself. Doctrine. No wasting ammunition. No firing blind. The men sat in silence, rifles aimed outward, while Burke's voice circled them, laughing, whispering, taunting. It went on until dawn. Morning light brought no relief. Because when Keller rose to check the perimeter, 2 more bedrolls were empty. Ellis and one of the veterans, gone. No signs of struggle. No alarms triggered. Just silence where men had once been. Mason swore, slamming his fist into the dirt. 3, that's 3. What the hell's happening? Keller's face was stone. We stick together. We move. But his eyes betrayed him. He knew the truth. The black timber wasn't just swallowing them. It was choosing them. At first light, we packed fast. No ceremony. No prayer. 5 men left. Keller didn't say their names out loud. He kept the roster in his head like a wound he refused to touch. On me, he said. We're punching out. Same azimuth we came in. Pace count exact. Nobody breaks line. Nobody. Weapons up. Safety off. Slow breath. The trees pressed in as we moved. The plan was textbook. Back azimuth on the ingress line. Pace beads ticking, compass steady. 5 to 10 second halts for listening. 10-minute bounds to micro rally points. If we held discipline, we'd hit our initial ORP by noon and the tree line by dusk. Except the forest didn't care about discipline. At 50 meters, the compass needle twitched. Keller frowned, tapped the bezel, recited the bearing. The needle jittered like a trapped insect. Mason, Keller said. Give me a grid to higher. Mason keyed the handset. Static hissed. The PRC squelch burped, then flattened into a thin, wet whisper like breath on glass. David, he froze. Who said that? Report, Keller snapped. Grid or nothing, Mason swallowed. No carrier. No net. It said your name, Sarge. Keller stared past him into the trees. We keep moving. Landmarks repeated. A lightning-struck trunk with a split down the middle. A moss-slick boulder shaped like a shoulder. We passed both, marked them with a knife scar X into bark, gouge into stone. 20 minutes later, there they were again, Ellis's mark. Our mark, Ruiz's voice was thin. We're circling. Keller shook his head. We're not. We can't be. I'm holding the line. But the line wasn't holding him. The light turned strange. It was morning. But shadows stretched long and wrong, reaching across the ground like dark ropes. When clouds passed, the shadows didn't move with them. They stayed, fixed, as if the trees had decided where darkness belonged, and the sun had lost its vote. Ellis felt it first. I can't get a full breath, he rasped. Like someone sitting on my chest. Slow inhale, Ruiz said, professional failing at calm. Count 4, hold, out 6. He watched Ellis's chest. Again, we all obeyed the count without speaking. Inhale, hold out. And still the air felt used, secondhand, warm, from someone else's lungs, the forest breathing us in. At 10:30 we hit a clearing. We knew it was wrong before we stepped in. The trees framed the opening like a doorway too even, too deliberate. The ground inside was scabbard with old ash and blackened roots. Keller raised a fist to hold us short, then scanned, then moved. We saw them, wooden shapes, crude, human height and taller. Effigies lashed from branches and roots, torsos cross-tied with vines, heads just knots where branches knuckled together. Some were staked upright. Others hung, spinning slightly, creaking in air that didn't move. And they wore clothes. Not whole uniforms, just scraps. Rotten sleeves. A torn field jacket panel with a ghost of a name tape. Canvas puttees gone dark with mold. A strip of camo that wasn't hours older patterns, foreign, decades out of date. The windless air carried a smell. Wet wood, old leather, iron rust. Underneath it, something sweet and spoiled. Like meat left in a warm room. Don't touch, Keller said. Ellis had already lifted a shred between 2 fingers. The cloth came away damp, leaving black rot on his skin. He scrubbed it against his trouser leg, breathing too fast. Ruiz's eyes tracked the effigies one by one. He counted under his breath. 8, he said. No, more than 8. There were dozens. Some were small, child-sized. Some were so tall their knotted heads brushed the lower limbs of the surrounding trees. Carved into a patch of bark nearby, we found symbols, circles within circles, lines that bent back on themselves like snares. Mason raised the handset again, desperate. White Oak, this is Timber 1. We are off plan. Request extraction guidance. Say again, request. The radio caught his voice and played it back a second later. Thinner, higher, wrong. Extraction guidance. Then another layer joined, same words. Different voice. Too smooth. Too careful. Like someone else was trying his mouth on for size. Keller reached out, thumbed the volume down himself. His hand was steady. His eyes were not. We're done here, he said softly. Out of the clearing. Now we pushed west. Or what we agreed to call west. Compasses spun. Beads clicked without meaning. The ground underfoot repeated mulch, root, slick stone, a patch of fungus like a spilled map. Hours passed. The sky stayed the same muted gray, as if someone had painted it on the canopy and forgotten to change it. Mason whispered, "We're not moving." "We are," Keller said. "Then why is that same dead limb there again?" Mason pointed. The crooked branch lay across a game trail like a snapped arm. We'd stepped over it 20 minutes earlier, 30, an hour. Time slipped. Ellis started praying aloud. Not loud, just steady. A rope thrown across rising water. Ruiz didn't tell him to stop. At 1320, the forest spoke, not words, not language. A chorus of mouth noises, sucks, clicks, damp gulps, like throats remembering how to swallow. It rose from all sides, soft at first, then crowding closer, until it sat right in the ear like a breath. Ellis flinched. Back to back, back to back, we formed a small, ugly star, muzzles outward, elbows touching. Our circle was too small. The trees leaned. The sounds knit. Keller forced himself to routine. Ammo check. Green, I said, lying without counting. Green, Mason said, eyes tearing. Amber, Ruiz admitted. One mag short. Dropped it back there. Green, Keller said, which meant nothing. He switched to the radio again, the last habit of a sane world. White Oak, Timber 1, break, break. We have unknowns in contact. Not hostile yet. Say again, unknowns in contact. Static. Then Mason's voice from a minute ago. Then Burke's laugh from a night ago. Then a new voice that was none of ours and all of ours. David. Keller clicked the transmit key without speaking 3 sharp presses. The code for in trouble, can't talk. The handset warmed in his palm like something alive. We moved again. The forest let us think it was our idea. Ruiz called a halt to tape Ellis's ankle after a root twist. While he rapped, he glanced up and went still. Look, above us, 15 feet off the ground, a tangle of branches had grown into a lattice. Not deadfall, not storm twist, woven, threaded. A cradle in the air. In the cradle lay a shape, cloth, bone, the suggestion of a boot toe. The leather had grown into the wood. Root wrapped fabric like fingers. When the wind shifted, there was no wind. The whole thing creaked like a sleeping thing turning in bed. We're leaving, Keller said, calm, final. Pick up. No one argued. We tried a different tactic, dead reckoning by sound. Far off, water. A stream's constant hush. We lined on it and pushed. Claws of brush tearing trousers, packs snagging. The noise never got closer. It inflated and deflated, like lungs. It was the forest breathing again, through a throat made of water. We stopped. There was the clearing again. Effigies waited exactly where we left them. Only there were more. New ones. Raw wet sticks gleaming as if just peeled. Vine lashings still oozing sap. And on one of the new figures, looped through a knotted branch where a neck should be, hung something small and metallic. A dog tag. We didn't have to raise it to read the name. We already knew, Ellis, Ruiz said. Ellis stumbled backward, struck a trunk, and slid down it, breath hitching like a kid hit too hard in the chest. His hands fluttered uselessly in the air. then clawed at his own collar as if the tag had grown on him. "No, no, I'm here." Keller walked forward as if to take the tag, stopped himself, and lowered his hand. "No touching." "That's an order." Mason's voice broke. "Sarge, it already touched us. We had one option left. Fire and noise." Keller's jaw set. "On my mark, 30-round burst, tree line 12 to 3 o'clock. Ruin their night." "Mason, transmit during to mark our position, open carrier." "Ruiz, pop smoke on my signal." "If wind," he didn't finish. "There was never wind here." "Ready." We raised rifles. Fingers found the wall in the trigger. The world shrank to iron sights and breath. Mark, muzzles spat flame. The forest took the sound and bent it wrong, swallowing the slap of rounds and amplifying the echoes. Bark exploded. Splinters flew. Smoke canisters hissed, blooming a fat purple cloud that should have drifted and didn't. The plume hung in place like paint in water. Mason screamed over the transmit key. Not words, just sound, forcing an imprint onto a net that might not exist. The handset hummed against his cheekbone, and for a heartbeat, I saw his breath fog the metal. When the magazines clicked dry, the forest was quiet again, too quiet. Then the radio spoke clearly, in a voice we all knew, calm, commanding, from a man who'd been dead 10 years. "Timber 1, hold position. We're coming to you." Keller's mouth opened, closed, his eyes filmed. "Sir?" Mason whispered. "Is that?" "It's not," Keller said, because even grief couldn't fool him in here. The shadows lengthened across our boots without moving. The effigies tilted toward us on invisible hinges. From the dark between trunk and trunk, pale shapes unstitched themselves from the bark. Dozens. Maybe more. Not close enough to shoot. Close enough to count. "Do not run," Keller said, voice low, almost kind. "You will want to. You will not." Ellis began to sob. Ruiz put a hand on his shoulder and found no comfort in the gesture. Keller lifted his rifle a fraction, not to aim, just to pretend there was still a grammar to the world that a muzzle could speak. "I see them," he said, and his voice broke like a branch. "Between the trees." There were 4 of us left by then. Keller, Ruiz, Mason, and me. Ellis had broken down, eyes glazed, whispering prayers too fast to understand. The forest took him the way it took the others. One moment breathing beside us, the next. Gone. No scream. No struggle. Just absence. We never spoke his name again. Keller called it perimeter. Dig in. We picked a rise overlooking a shallow depression. Forced the ground with e-tools until fingers bled. Stacked roots and branches like sandbags. Claymores rigged at 10 meters. Trip flares set. Ammunition counted twice. We weren't holding ground. We were marking defiance. A signal to the forest. "You can take us, but not cheap." Night dropped fast. No twilight, no fade. Just a snap from dim gray to absolute dark. The tree line whispered. Not with wind. With movement. Mason pressed his ear to the radio, static bleeding through his headset. He whispered, "They're all around us." Keller growled back, "Hold your sector." Nothing moves in without eating steel first. But already I knew whatever came wasn't going to play by the rules of sectors and arcs of fire. The first scream came, 2,300, not hours. Not human. High, tearing, jagged like metal ripping. It rattled inside the skull more than the ears. Trip flares snapped alive in a hiss of light. The clearing lit red, then white. And we saw them. Figures. Pale, too thin, too tall. Faces blurred, features swallowed in shadow, though the flare burned bright. Their limbs moved wrong, too quick, too smooth, like joints had been replaced with hinges. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Packed between the trees, shifting without sound. Watching. Mason broke first. "Jesus Christ!" He emptied half a mag into the tree line. Bullets chewed bark. Figures twitched but didn't fall. The forest absorbed the fire like a sponge. Keller roared. Controlled bursts. Keep discipline. But the command was already meaningless. The first claymore detonated. A white flash. Shrapnel screamed outward. Trees shredded. The figures vanished. For a heartbeat hope. Then the smoke cleared, and they were closer. Inside the perimeter. One stepped between Mason and Ruiz. I saw it clearly for the first time. Its skin wasn't skin. It was bark. Flesh grown from wood. Pale fibers splitting into splinters where muscles should have been. Its eyes were knots hollow, and yet they stared. Ruiz jammed his bayonet forward. The blade sank shallow, stuck, as if the figure's body wasn't hollow but solid, like stabbing a tree trunk. The thing didn't bleed, didn't flinch, just leaned close, lips peeling back though it had no mouth. Ruiz screamed and fired point blank, 3 rounds. The figure shattered like brittle wood. But when it fell, the pieces crawled. Roots unspooled, dragging splinters back together. It wasn't dead. Just delayed. The radio shrieked. Not static. Voices. Our voices. Mason's laugh. Ruiz's prayer. Keller's barked commands. All thrown back at us, twisted, layered until it sounded like an army of ghosts closing in. Mason ripped his headset free, hurled it to the dirt, and still the voices came. From the trees, from the air, from inside our heads. The second claymore detonated without a trigger. Just went off. The blast blinded us, deafened us, left the world ringing. In that ringing, I heard Keller shouting, "Fall back! Fall back!" But fall back to where? There was nowhere left. The figures poured in. Not rushing, not charging, just stepping forward, patient, inevitable. Each one whispering names, details, things only our squad should know. David, Ruiz, Mason. My name. Every time they spoke, my chest seized. Like the sound reached inside, trying to pull me forward the way it had pulled Burke, Ellis, the others. Mason broke formation. He stumbled out of the foxhole, rifle raised, screaming. They didn't even need to touch him. He froze mid-stride, body locked. His rifle clattered to the dirt. His mouth opened in a scream that never came. The figures closed around him, pale limbs brushing his shoulders. And then he was gone. No body, no trace. Just gone. Keller's voice cracked. Hold, hold. Don't give them another. Ruiz fired until his rifle clicked dry. He dropped it, pulled his sidearm, fired again. Sweat and tears streaked his face. He muttered prayers with each trigger pull. The words blurred into sobs. A figure leaned over the foxhole, and Ruiz shoved the barrel against its chest. He fired 3 times. The recoil snapped his wrist, but the figure didn't fall. It reached down, fingers like roots, and brushed his helmet. And Ruiz was gone. Now there were 2. Keller and me. He shoved me toward the last functional radio. Send it. Final report. Say something. I keyed the mic. Static filled my ears. But beneath it, screams ours. Mine, words I hadn't spoken yet. We're surrounded. They're not human. It was my own voice, echoing back from a future I hadn't reached. I dropped the mic. My hands shook so hard, I couldn't feel the metal. Keller scribbled in his journal. Last resort. His handwriting jagged, smearing as his hand shook. I caught fragments. They are not shadows. They are not men. They are the forest itself. He closed it, shoved it into my vest pocket. His eyes locked on mine. Don't let them take you whole. Then they came, all of them. The tree line broke open like a wound, spilling pale figures until the clearing was full. Faces hidden, bodies twitching, whispers layered into a storm. Keller stood, rifle shouldered, bellowed a final curse at the dark. He fired until the magazine was dry. Drew his pistol. Fired again. then dropped everything, drew his knife and charged. The forest swallowed him whole. I was alone. The figures closed. My rifle trembled in my grip. I fired. I screamed. I prayed. The last thing I remember was their whispers overlapping mine until I couldn't tell if I was screaming or if they were screaming through me. Then silence. When the search teams came days later, they found nothing. No bodies, no brass, no blood. Just rifles, neatly stacked in the clearing, as if placed there, waiting. Days later, when the search team pushed into the black timber, they expected wreckage. They expected to find bodies, brass, signs of firefights burned into the ground. What they found instead was silence. The forest floor showed almost no disturbance. No drag marks. No blood. No footprints deeper than a few meters. It was as if 8 armed men had stepped into the woods and dissolved. The only evidence of their existence came in fragments, scattered packs torn open as if by rot. A broken PRC radio still crackling faintly, though its battery was long dead. And the rifles, 8 of them, stacked neatly in the clearing. Barrels aligned, stocks resting against one another like soldiers standing at attention. No mud on the muzzles. No scratches on the wood, as though unseen hands had placed them carefully, almost reverently. On top of the stack lay the journal. Sergeant Keller's. The pages were stained with water, dirt, and something darker. Some entries were legible, coordinates, times, notes of patrol movements. Then the words began to blur, jagged handwriting scrawled under dim light, sentences broken with fear. They are not shadows. They are not men. They are the forest itself. The final entry was short, written as if in a hurry. I can hear the trees whispering my name. After that, nothing. The report classified the incident as enemy engagement. The official line, hostile ambush, patrol wiped out, no survivors. The details were redacted, buried under layers of black ink, but the search team knew better. Veterans whispered the truth among themselves. They spoke of the unnatural quiet, of the effigy still hanging in the clearing, of the shadows that seemed to follow them back to the perimeter. Some swore they heard voices on the wind, calling names that weren't theirs. The file was sealed under the codename Operation Black Timber. Access restricted. Testimony shredded. Maps of the area erased. Unofficially, the site was marked as off-limits. No patrols were ever sent there again. The forest was left untouched, avoided even by locals. And yet, the stories spread. Hunters claimed they sometimes heard distant gunfire echoing through the trees, sharp bursts, followed by screams cut short. Campers swore they saw pale figures standing between trunks at nightfall, silent and watching. Others said if you walk too far into the black timber, the air changes. Your chest grows tight, your compass spins, and you start to hear your own name whispered from the dark. The army denied it. Officials laughed it off as myth. But the file exists. The journal exists. The whispers among veterans exist, and so does the forest. Even now, satellite imagery shows the same stretch of dense canopy, unchanged, unmarked. The black timber still waits, still breathes. So what really happened to the 8 men of that patrol? Were they ambushed by an enemy that left no trace? Were they swallowed by the forest itself, absorbed into something older than history? Or did they become part of it? Whispers in the static, shadows between the trees, waiting for the next soldier to step across the line. No one can say for sure. What is certain is this: their rifles were found. Their voices were heard. Their names were written down, then erased, and their story was buried. To this day, no one dares enter the black timber after dark. But if you ever stand at its edge and you hear footsteps, if you hear someone calling your name from inside the trees, don't answer, because the black timber doesn't give men back.